but we'll see. I'm starting the live stream now. We'll see. Oh, she's coming. Okay. It'd be so helpful if I could like do this, like set it up before Bible study. But that's not the way it works. Or at least as far as I know, that's not the way it works.
Gotcha.
Well, now when I set them up, now again, I'm using probably a different version than you. I set up a meeting and then it says invite others, and then I invite. Now again, I have to then put in I invite them via email, and then it sends them a link.
Oh, no. Setting up the meeting. Setting up the meeting is
You're talking about YouTube and that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
All right. Because I've never done YouTube at all. Never
Said that kind of stuff.
My mother has lost the link apparently, so hang on.
Yeah, she just needs to look. And, yeah, you can send another one because there wasn't one today, I don't think. I had to look.
No, I had to go digging.
I just looked for an old one.
Well, and Mom doesn't get that anyway, but yeah, I guess Robin didn't send it out today, did she? And that may be because I barely left my office this morning. I have a funeral tomorrow of a non-member, and so I'm trying to figure out how to get everything done between now and tomorrow, and well, now and Thursday when we leave.
Oh, so you're going away on vacation?
Yeah, we're going on a cruise.
Oh, how marvelous. Where are you cruising to?
Cozumel and Roatan.
Okay.
Well, let's go ahead and pray while we wait. Gracious God, thank you for the book of Proverbs and the many lessons that we have learned throughout our studies. We ask that we may take them to heart and use them in our lives so that you can use us. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So we are on the final chapter, chapter 31 of Proverbs. And so at the end, we'll start talking about where's next. Just a reminder, we will not be meeting for the next 2 weeks. We'll start again in August. Like I said, next week I'll be on vacation. And then the following week, I will be on a mission trip with our youth. So it will be, I think Margaret's going to be spending a lot more time in my office than I will over the next couple of weeks. So let's go ahead and jump on in. Okay. From the beginning.
It's a secret. It's a secret.
Boom. So Proverbs 31, the king speaks out for the poor. A mother speaks to her son in verses 1 and 2. The words of King Lemuel, oracle that his mother taught him. No, my son, no, my son, no son of my womb, no son of my vows. I'm not going to stop there. Do not give your strength to women, your ways to those who destroy kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine or for rulers to desire strong drink. Or else they will drink and forget what has been decreed, and will pervert the rights of the afflicted. So read through that, and then we'll talk about it. And I will try to invite my mother again.
Must be summer. This must be spring. This is fall.
All right. So what did you hear there?
A mother trying to warn her son to avoid evil things.
Yep, that kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Mhm. Don't cloud your mind with alcoholic beverages.
Mhm.
Strong drink.
Yeah, it is interesting. Son of my vows, do not give strength to women. Your ways to those who destroy kings. It's interesting. That's kind of wow.
Yep.
You've got, you've got all this. I mean, and I guess if you think of the history of the world, oh, finally, it took a while. Well, Mama, we've already gone. Well, she's not hearing this. And it's, well, we've made it through the first 5 verses. That basically is a mother telling her son not to get messed up with women because women can destroy kings, and don't drink wine or strong drinks, or else they will forget and what has been decreed. So that's kind of interesting, that you get drunk and then forget what you've done, which is not good for a king. Oh, did I say that? Was that illegal? Good advice for a leader. By the way, as we look at this, we do not know who King Lemuel is. It's an unknown king. As was the king in chapter 30. It's an unknown king. We have no historic record of this king, which is kind of interesting. Maybe it was used to sort of cover up, like, so they don't, so it's not like, hey, king, this is what you need to be doing. Instead, it was sort of a fictitious king, but that no less teaches the importance of the lessons. Anything else that you see in these? All righty. Well,
Stephen,
yes, ma'am.
what are you playing with?
Oh, sorry. Forgot my mic is strong.
I don't know about y'all, but it was driving me crazy.
All right. And then the rest of this section, verses 6 to 9. Give strong drink to the one who's perishing, and wine to those in bitter distress. Let them drink and forget their poverty, and remember their misery no more. Speak out for those who cannot speak, for the rights of all the destitute. Speak out, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and the needy. So read through those, and then we will come back to those. So what do you hear in those passages?
Take care of the poor,
Mm-hmm.
comfort them
Yep. And how do we do that?
by giving them strong drink.
You
But if
shouldn't
you're
drink because
dying-
you're in charge, but you should get everybody else wasted so they don't care about how crappy their
Right.
life is. That's basically what it boils down to. But also to ease their pain, which I'm sure was probably a great deal of anesthesia back then.
Yeah, that first verse, I thought of somebody that was was dying, and how they give medicine to ease the pain today.
Right.
That's what
That's what hospice does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
And it's wonderful.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Because then it eases the pain. And like I said, they haven't always had morphine. And so they used, I guess they used to use lauded back in the day, Dilaudid.
They
Mhm.
still use it.
Laudanum is what they used in historic novels.
Okay. And that's what they used to use. And that's what they used in Tombstone, the movie. And of course, Wyatt Earp's wife was also addicted to it. That wasn't good. But yeah, I mean, they've always had ways to sort of knock people out, alleviate their pain. And alcohol was probably one of the originals, along with, I'm sure, some other natural herbs and remedies that they found that would knock people out. But also not just to the people who were dying, but to the poor. So again, they would forget how crappy their life was.
Right.
And throughout history, that has been used. Some of you have heard me tell about how Sunday school got started. Sunday school got started in England or in Europe somewhere around the days that gin was invented. The drink, not the game. Because basically everybody worked in the mills, including the children, and the parents would go and get drunk all weekend long because they didn't have to work, and the children were sort of left to their own devices. And so the churchy people were like, hey, we need to give them something to do so they're not, running the streets, robbing everybody and getting in trouble. And so they started Sunday school, which was actually school where they taught them how to read using the Bible. And so that's how Sunday school got started. It actually wasn't to teach the faith. It was to teach children to read and get them off the streets. But because gin was free flowing, and in Roman times, that was called bread and circus. So the poor people, if you gave them entertainment and food, they didn't care how poor they were. And so that was a lot of what they had to deal with from time to time. So, now, anything else on those? I do think the part about speaking out for those who cannot speak. In today's times, there are too many people speaking out for people who can speak, in my opinion.
Amen.
You know, personally, now being a white male, maybe I'm not the one that should be saying this, but I think nothing's more racist than a white person calling another white person racist on behalf of someone else. Or, you know, calling down someone else as if to say, you know, I'll tell you so they don't have to. In a place where, I mean, basically it's like my voice is still more important than yours, so I need to be the one that calls other people out. And, you know, if people have a voice, we need to make room for their voice. You know, we need to allow them to speak, but we need to give them their voice. But when those people have no voice, and there have been times in history when people have no voice, and there are some in history in culture today that still have no voice, we need to speak for them. If we are in a place of power, like a king, we speak for those who are not there, who are not present, who have no voice. Unfortunately, again, my opinion, a lot of our leaders today speak for themselves. And Washington is completely out of touch with the reality of the common American. They basically are all about themselves, and that's me getting into politics. I apologize, but does anyone disagree? I didn't think so. Finally, something every party can agree on. Our politicians don't care about us. We care about everything they do, but they could care less about anything we do. And I don't care what party you follow. That's the truth. But at any rate, as leaders are called to give, to speak out for those who cannot speak, for the rights of the destitute. And it probably says it in your Bible too, that the Hebrew is all the children of passing. So basically kids who were out there dying. Which, taken quite literally, that's an interesting statement. You know, about worrying about kids who are dying. You know, we look at school shootings and things like that. We've had different parties in charge. You know, when was the first one? In 1997 was the first school shooting, something like that. No, it was in 98 or 99 because I was on internship.
Your daddy and I were in Israel or Egypt. We were on our trip there. And I'm not sure if it was 98 or 99 either, Stephen.
It was in 99 because it was second semester, and I started internship in 98 and finished in 99. It was in 1999.
What was that, Columbine?
Yeah, that was the first one. And so if you look at the history of the United States in Washington since 1999, we have had Republicans in charge, we have had Democrats in charge, and neither one of them has cared enough to stop this crap. because we just we keep fighting back and forth about guns and not about, you know, children and mental health. Guns are a lot sexier, I guess, but you know, if you take care of the people who are holding their guns,
Yeah, the guns can't shoot themselves.
no. I mean, now some guns I think are unnecessary, but at the same time, they're sane people that own them, and they're not going to shoot anybody with them. But we got to start taking care of people. And I mean, it's insane. They were talking about one of the things they're considering is putting a police officer in every school. In Lexington 1, there's pretty much a police officer in every school.
And has been.
Which makes it sad that that's not standard. I thought it was.
I did too, because the schools that I taught in Newton all had a resource officer.
There was one when I was there, and I've been retired in years.
You probably been retired about as long as I have.
Well, she went to another job after you, Mama. I think she's been retired longer.
Oh, okay. No, I quit when I retired.
That's because you retired, and that's when you opened your exterminating business, isn't it, Margaret?
No, I retired from exterminating and went to work at the school because.
Oh, I had that back.
Then it didn't stop on my desk anymore.
Oh, that was
I
good.
enjoyed working at the school.
But yeah, I mean, and so there have been police officers, but what that says is some places aren't protected. I mean, and I don't know, maybe we ought to worry about that a little bit. But that's what do I know?
And then the protectors need to step up and do what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
I couldn't believe that.
That one.
I couldn't either.
I just,
I don't know if that's poor training or what.
I would think so. I mean,
Yeah. I can't think
of anybody that worked with us in that department. Just sitting there.
You hear gunshots, you're gonna go in.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if there's no gunshots being fired, okay, then you're trying to, you know, maybe negotiate with the hostage taker.
But the first shot,
done.
No.
Yeah.
You're blasting through the door. I mean, that's just it. But
And the door was unlocked. I mean, they could have gotten in. It was like they were more afraid for their lives than
they were for the children they're trying to protect.
I don't know that they were more afraid of their lives or if they were more afraid of making a mistake. And that might be a problem that we have with the media right now, too.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they were afraid for their own lives. I think they were afraid that they would mess up and it would blow back on them. And they ended up messing up and it blew back on them.
That's sad.
Thanks, Coco.
Yes, you're right. It is Coco.
Well, I saw his neck and it didn't have white on it. So, well, let's move on to the next section. 10 through 31. A woman of worth brings her husband good. A capable wife who can find. She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from far away. She rises while it is still night and provides food for her household and tasks for her servant girls. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hand holds the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid for her household when it snows, for all her household are clothed in crimson. She makes herself coverings. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the city gates, taking his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She supplies the merchant with sashes. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well at the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her happy, her husband too, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her a share of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the city gates. So read through that. I just took my picture, and then we'll talk about it.
Neighborhood man, there's a woman.
Let me know when y'all finish. All right. Before we get started, I want to show y'all something about this. The 6 signs of living, as most of you know, praise God, increase faith, step up, give generously, accept all, help others. Does anybody know what this is called?
An acrostic.
Yes, it is an acrostic poem where you take a letter or something and it starts off everything. Okay. This is the Hebrew alphabet. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zion, Ket, Tet, Yod, Kaf. That's the same letter. Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ein, Pei, Hey, Sadish, Kaf, Resh, Shin, Tav. Okay. Now, let me show you something else. Okay. Focus. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Het, Tet, Yod. Hold on. Let me back. Vav, Zion, Het. That's Het, Tet, Yod. Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, like M-N. Samek, Ayin, Pei, Sad, Kaf, Resh, Shin, and To. This is the Hebrew alphabet, which, by the way, Hebrew is right to left, not left to right. So this is the first letter in every verse. And it goes from A, well, for us, from A to Z. And so basically this is sort of the it's sort of saying that it is that this covers it all from A to Z. This is the summation. Now, when you hear this, what is it saying?
That a woman who fears God, fears the Lord, is much to be praised. And then it goes on to, as far as I'm concerned, talking about what she does because she fears the Lord, and how she behaves, how she cares for her family. So
How she conducts business.
right.
How she watches over her household, how she and so this is the mother to the son saying, you need to find you one of them. You need to leave them crazy ones at home. You need to find you one of them women.
Yep.
That's what it sounds like, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the whole
Um,
was that the first part was my son, this is what you don't want to do, and then my son, this is how you should behave, and then here's what you need to look for in a wife.
do y'all remember the first quarterback for the Carolina Panthers was a guy named Kerry Collins? I want to say he was a Heisman Trophy winner. He was supposed to be like a star quarterback, and he never really panned out. He was kind of a wild child, and then he got traded to the Saints, I think, and that was when Mike Ditka was there. And Mike Ditka said for Kerry Collins, he needs to find himself Jesus and a good woman.
Well,
I don't know. He might have found either or both, but and what Ditka was saying was, a good woman will keep you straight.
right.
Stephen, in verse 16,
Uh-huh.
she considers a field and buys it. I would have not thought that a woman in that age would have been in charge of buying anything.
And you make a great point, because the translation for wife here could also be woman. And if you go all the way back, I believe it is in 1. Let me find it. It talks about women, wisdom cries on the streets and the squares, the busiest of the corners. She cries out at the entrance of the city gates. She speaks. And so wisdom is compared to a woman.
Okay.
And so this can have a twofold meaning. One, it is, I think, the most literal, because I think it's true that for a man, finding a wife who basically takes care of stuff is a very good person to have in your life. But more so, I believe what this is referring to is wisdom.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because, looking at this in that culture, now there were probably some women that probably did do some of these things, but they were few and far between, I'm guessing. But most of them, this was not a woman's prerogative. She would have had to have a man to do these things. But wisdom buys and sells land. Wisdom clothes you. Wisdom, takes care of your servants. Wisdom does all of these things. And what is wisdom? It is the fear of the Lord. I mean, we heard that throughout, right?
Yeah.
And then in 30, it says, many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. A woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Wisdom is the fear of the Lord.
Okay.
And so, of course, but again, it can also be taken literally. I think that, I mean, Proverbs is written in riddles. And so it is allowed to have double meanings and deeper meanings. And in this case, I think that it does. It talks about a good wife, which incidentally, these things ring really true today, because in that culture, not so much, but in this culture, yeah, a woman could do all those things and more. But at the same time, wisdom is the one that sort of guides us in that.
I liked verse 12 because I have seen people where the wife did her husband harm in his business.
Oh, yes.
And I thought that was good advice.
In my job, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
I am very, very thankful.
You ought to be.
Because
But I could be prejudiced.
yeah, but I mean, there have been some pastors' wives that, and probably pastors' husbands are starting to break through. That are being issues at certain congregations, but you know, some of it is the way that they treat their husband, and some of it is the way they treat congregational members because of their husband.
And some of it is because they don't feel like they've got to be that involved. Going to church on Sunday morning is enough. And yet the pastor saying, get involved, do this, do that. And if their wife does nothing but just Sunday morning, that hurts.
I believe it was when I was interviewing at Peace, and I said, what do you expect from my wife? They said, well, we'd like for her to come to church. Because apparently that had been an issue in the past. Not just not being involved, but not going, not showing up at all. I mean, the truth is there's probably more than half the congregation never sees Stacy at church on Sunday morning, because she almost always goes to late service, but they know she's there and she goes to other things too.
Well,
but in a small church, people know.
The fact that she goes to other things, I can think of a pastor's wife that she doesn't go to the same service that everybody else does. Like Stacy, she chooses the one, but she doesn't go to Lenten services. She doesn't go to fellowship things. You just never see her. And there are people in the congregation who have no clue who she is.
That's sad.
It is.
Yeah, I heard a pastor's wife tell me, she said, well, I don't have to go to church every time the door's open.
I don't think anybody expects that anymore.
No, and we didn't expect it then, but for that to come out of her mouth was rude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
I didn't need to hear that from her mouth.
No.
I'm guessing that it's probably one that a lot of people heard from.
Oh yes.
Over the years, yeah.
That's why we don't have Welka anymore.
Oh.
Stacy was so dutiful in our first church. She was the only woman under the age of 60 that went to Welka, and she was in her 20s. And poor thing, you need to go to the state Welka convention. She was 9 months pregnant or 8 months pregnant in the summertime at the Welka convention. You want to talk misery? I mean, that was, yeah.
I did that. I wasn't pregnant, but I ended up being the mailing editor for many years.
I think mom took care of Stacy there because they went, that's when y'all were in Hickory and they ended up, she ended up going home.
I think she stayed with us.
Oh yeah, she did. And I think she left early and because you weren't going to go because those things are all awful.
I've been twice, once in North Carolina and once in South Carolina. But that wasn't, I attended local welcome, but I saw that didn't float my boat.
Going to a meeting for the sake of a meeting seems awful. I mean, I go to enough meetings. I think a lot of us do. Margaret does. I know. I'm in half of them with her. But just to go to a meeting, say, hey, we need to have a meeting to meet. But I mean, I guess some people love it, but yeah, I mean, but back to Proverbs and wisdom.
Sorry about that.
But I do think that I like, though, in the end, for our culture, for our modern culture, I like the fact that it closes off with, but a woman who fears the Lord, because that actually takes this book and makes it not just for men.
Right.
Yeah.
Because wisdom is wisdom is wisdom. I don't think that it is picky as to who gets to be wise.
Not gender specific.
No, most certainly not. Which again is in the end very, very free. And also, let's not forget that this final message is not coming from a man to a man; it's a woman to a man, and that's also significant. Yes, it's from a mother, but at a certain age, the mother had no control over her son.
Yes.
And it was the son that told his mother what to do in that culture. Yeah, that ain't flying.
Was that scary?
Yeah, that's not
Y'all drop
it. But so that closes out Proverbs, unless anybody has anything else. So let's talk about what's next. And that's not me about to tell you what's next. It's me asking y'all, where would you like to go from here?
I love Proverbs. I did not expect to, but Margaret, weren't you the one that suggested it?
Yes, I like Proverbs.
I've read verses, but I mean, I really.
Yeah, I enjoyed this study. It was pretty neat.
Good, I'm glad.
So where do we go from here?
Well, what's one that you've taught before that you enjoyed teaching?
Well, honestly, though, most of those I've already taught to you. I mean, if you think about it, we've gone through. I really like the Gospel of John, but I think I've done that with y'all. I might have done that one online already.
I'm looking to see. Nope, you didn't do it online. Because
No.
I would have, when you've done it online, I've got notes, and there's not a single note
In John.
John's gospel is just so different than the rest. I like that. I'm not sure that I've ever taught Matthew. Come to think of it. Hang on.
Not to us, I don't believe.
I'm not sure I've ever taught it to anybody.
Well, I haven't studied John with you. I don't know, but I'm a latecomer. I don't know who was attending in person.
That would be Margaret, and Susie's on the phone with Diane. She has too.
And Hugh.
Yeah.
Of course, you could get confused because he goes to the Mims also.
Well, and they've been through the whole Bible, just about at least. Oh, it helps if I. Weekly Bible study, Acts, Hebrews, John, Luke. I have done Matthew, and let's see when it was. In 2006, which means that I taught it at,
Summer.
no, that would have been at Pilgrim.
Oh. When did you teach John?
Oh, wait, no, that's at Peace. That's at Peace. That's not even it. And that one I broke up in different ways. John, well, there's 2014 that I have stuff on it. But didn't we watch the Gospel of John in class? Or did I, maybe I didn't teach John with y'all.
I think not. I'm not remembering. Of course, that doesn't mean anything.
Well, y'all pick. I can do John or Matthew, and maybe we do one and then the other.
That'd be fine.
So you want to do Matthew and then John, or John and then Matthew?
Which one leads out better?
They're 6 1/2 dozen the other. I mean, they're really different from one another. You know what? Let's do Matthew first, because Matthew is the more commonly known version of the story.
Right.
Although
Okay.
we know Luke's version even better than Matthew's. Because Matthew's the longest gospel. And so it has bits and pieces. It has some things that are in common with Matthew, with Mark and Luke.
Yeah.
But then it's got his own stuff too. So let's go Matthew. So that'll start in August, because like I said, I will not be here for the next 2 weeks.
Where is the mission trip, Stephen?
We're going to Luther Ranch,
Oh,
we think. We haven't heard from them. So we sent money and we have all of our stuff, but we have no idea what we're supposed to bring, like if we need medical forms or what, which we're going to have to know, because we can't get them. We're going to be gone.
who do you know there that you can email and say, we got to have this, that would be in the Luther Ridge main office or at Novus Way main office?
I know Van.
Email Van and say, who do I need to get in touch with? I'm not getting this information.
Yeah, well, I'll call Van.
Okay.
But Deborah's the one's taking care of all that. But if I need to, I'll get a hold of Van. But
I
yeah,
take it
from what I understand, registration is a train wreck.
Yep.
So anyway, all right, Matthew it is. So in 2 weeks, we'll look at Matthew. Well, thank you all for going through Proverbs with me. Y'all have a great couple weeks.
Thanks for making it enjoyable.
So I will see y'all. I'll be at church that Sunday in between though. But David's preaching this Sunday, so you won't want to miss that.
But I can't be there.
But it'll be on film.
Okay.
Yeah,
It'll be recorded. So
yeah, I'll watch David.
Yeah.
I watch you too, but
yeah, I know.
we just watched 4th of July yesterday. Your daddy slept through it when we tried to watch it the other week.
That's all right. He's not the first. All right. Y'all take care. I'll see you soon.
Have a safe trip.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye.
See y'all in a few weeks.